initially it was supposed to be of 6 hours. Then I told sir that nowadays, as the time is progressing, students' attention span is getting lesser. So if it can be squeezed, so sir said it cannot be squeezed less than 4 hours. So now we have 4 hours of masterclass. I'm absolutely 100% sure that by the end of this masterclass, you will be finding yourself much more empowered in terms of the knowledge that you have gained. Sir, the stage is all yours now.
Is it echoing? Or am I clear? Clear? Okay, so I request the students to come and sit wherever you can find something, or is there any difficulty?
So all the volunteers can also sit.
Volunteers should sit actually, yeah.
You also have a lot to learn from today.
Yeah, are they final year students or volunteers?
Some are second year.
Okay. So I think you'll find value in this, what we are going to learn today. Come and sit here, all of you. Aye. Please come. Come to the front. You have volunteered a lot. Please come. There's a lot of space here. So as Anubhuti ma'am said, that this has been, the idea has been running since the last 3 years, and earlier it was supposed to be a 6-hour training session. Now it's 4 hours, because I have also become older by 3 years. So next year if she calls me, it will be 2 hours. And after 4 years, she will not even call me. Okay, because she will know that I don't have any capacity to talk that long. What makes a class, what makes, I mean, how do you differentiate between an ordinary class and a great, stupendously successful class? कैसे फर्क करते हैं कि एक सेशन ऑर्डिनरी हो जाता है, एक सेशन एक्स्ट्रा ऑर्डिनरी हो जाता है, क्या फर्क होता है? I will be using Hindi English mix. Will it be okay? Okay. 100% English will not do, right? Or will it do? It will do. Okay. So what is the difference between an ordinary class and a great class? I will tell you. This is always the ecosystem. Whatever good the speaker is, comes here, talks 3, 4, 6 hours without your participation, will make it a very ordinary class. An ordinary lecturer, an ordinary trainer like me, okay, very ordinary I am, okay. If you participate, if you interact, you ask your questions, you make it, say exciting, it will be a wonderful session, worth remembering. Okay, that is. So are we going to make it interactive? Yes. How many 2 people said? Yes. Yes. Now 10. How many people say that, okay, we'll try to make it as interactive as we expect? How many? That is good. Raise hands. How many of you really will be participating? Raise your hand. You are trying, you are thinking whether I should raise or I shouldn't raise. Raise your hand. Okay. So still there are some boys and girls, those who think, okay, as the time passes, let's see whether we should raise the hands or not. I'm telling you, if you participate, the 4 hours will fly like anything. Okay, that is one. Secondly, why a master class? Why master? Why a 4-hour session? Why? किसी पागल कुत्ते ने काटा है कि हम 4 घंटे यहाँ बैठे? क्यों? मैं बताता हूँ उसके लिए. I also studied like you, but it was in 1980. I completed my graduation in 1980 at the age of 20. At 21, I was selected at State Bank PO and I left. And then I did my post graduation after taking a study leave for 1 year. Okay, because I wanted to study. So I always found that there are certain books, there are certain sessions which are professors. I did my MSc in organic chemistry, I found that this could have been taught in one flat day, which my teachers are taking one month because they are supposed to. University says that teach this thing in 1 month. But I found that there are certain things which can be taught in one single day and matter over. Similarly, when I go through your syllabus, I also find, forget about certain sessions or something, entire semester can be covered in a single day. Entire semester. And it is possible to attract your attention for that one particular day, because let's say banking. One day I teach you the history of banking, another day I teach you the liabilities, and third day the assets. By the time I reach on the securities, mortgages, etc., you have forgotten liabilities. And when I tell you recovery and then bankruptcy code and everything, you have forgotten working capital. So what's the use? Let there be one thread, and that one thread is known as Masterclass. So I hope that the funda of Masterclass is clear in your mind. अरे जोर से तो बोलो पार्टिसिपेट। अभी तो आपने कसम खाई थी कि पार्टिसिपेट करोगे। अभी क्या गीता पे हाथ रख के करवाऊं? हाँ? Please participate, because if you participate, my morale will also be low or high? High. अभी आपको multiple options दो, high, low, not very high, not very low, none of the above. ऐसा तो नहीं करेंगे। So my morale will be very high if you participate, because I can teach you for 4 hours, but if you do not participate, you cannot learn for 4 hours. मैं तो सारे दिन यहाँ खड़ा होकर बकवास कर सकता हूँ। आप सुनने को तैयार हैं क्या? तो क्या करें? आपको मास्टर क्लास का फंडा क्लियर हो गया, आपको ये भी क्लियर हो गया कि यस, इफ एन इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग इज टॉट इन वन गो, दैट विल बी बेटर। तो अभी लोग भी समझ गए टूरिस्ट पैकेजेस कैसे होते हैं। 4 धाम यात्रा, पहले लोग क्या कहते थे, ये साल बद्रीनाथ, अगले साल केदारनाथ, फिर गंगोत्री, और अगर जिंदा फिर भी बच गए तो यमुनोत्री। अभी क्या करते हैं, वो टूरिस्ट वाला कैसा बोलता है, साहब 4 धाम एक ही साथ कर सीधा स्वर्ग, समझ गए ना? तो सब 4 धाम एक साथ कर लेते हैं। अभी क्या हो गया, सारे ज्योतिर्लिंग एक साथ। पहले पूरी जिंदगी गुजर जाती थी, आदमी ज्योतिर्लिंग कवर नहीं कर सकता था। अभी छुट्टी हुई होली दिवाली की तो ज्योतिर्लिंग भी कवर हो गए, तो भगवान के पास आते जा रहे हैं ना थोड़ा सा। तो आज हम यही करेंगे कि पूरा बैंकिंग यहाँ से सीख के जाएंगे। कोई भी आदमी आपसे बैंकिंग के बारे में कुछ भी पूछेगा, यू विल बी इन अ पोजीशन टू आंसर दैट। मे बी परहैप्स यू विल बी इन अ पोजीशन टू टीच योर टीचर। अनुभूति मैम सुन नहीं रही है, दैट इज अ वेरी गुड थिंग, लेकिन आई एम टेलिंग यू दैट आफ्टर यू लीव टुडे, you will be in a position to tell so many things about banking which otherwise maybe perhaps even your teachers, your syllabus, but कोई अहंकार नहीं कर रहा है उसके लिए। When I was your age, naturally I was also once upon a time, okay, your age, long back, okay. That time, the biggest thing in the country was literacy, because India's literacy was around 25%, 24.7%, and in rural areas you never found anywhere, wherever you went, you wouldn't find a literate person. So when the postman used to come, he used to write letters for the entire village, and he used to read out the letters for the entire village. So we had a wave. All the politicians, everybody thought that we should have literacy, right? We passed. Second thing came when I joined my job. It was computer literacy, because all of a sudden, from somewhere, laser posting machines, so-called computers, they came, and there were agitation. People thought that they will lose their jobs. And in State Bank, young officer, I had just completed my probation. I was posted in Bangalore, and I was posted as the team member of the computerization of State Bank Bangalore Center. State Bank is distributed in circles now. And after 5 o'clock, all the staff of my office, MG Road, they would come and stand in front of my cabin. Divesh Mishra, hi, down with Divesh Mishra, down with computerization and things like that. 10 minutes they will shout slogans and will go. As a ritual. They didn't want computerization to come. So that time it was computer literacy. We passed through that also. Computers created millions of jobs. Has computers made anybody's job? Rather, you want that, okay, computer literacy should be there in you so that you could take up a job somewhere. And what is computer literacy? Understanding your spreadsheets, being in a position to make PowerPoint slides, and being in a position to write some letter. On computer, save it, mail it, archive it, that is computer literacy, right? If you can do these 3 things, you are computer literate. If you know how a computer is booted, okay, what happens when the card is not there in the place? Okay, how to reboot it? Okay, how to open your Excel sheet, how to put some formula, how to make a good PowerPoint slide, how to mail it to somebody else, how to use WhatsApp, okay, how to use Facebook. You are computer literate. We have passed that also. Now, after computer literacy, the third literacy came financial literacy, right? That happened some 8-10 years back, 15 years back, especially when Modi government came into the picture. They thought that, okay, if there is financial literacy amongst the people, more accounts can be opened, and then we had Jan Dhan accounts. How many Jan Dhan accounts were opened? More than 50 crore. More than 50 crore Jan Dhan accounts were opened. Okay, they have around $30 billion US dollars worth of Indian rupees in those accounts. So-called poor people. $1 billion equals to 8,300 crore rupees. So you can calculate $30 billion into 8,300 crores. In 1 lakh crore, there are $12 billion. So 2.5 lakh crore rupees is lying in those 50 crore accounts. Financial literacy, if you used to ask 10 years back, okay, if you ask a woman, educated woman, ma'am, we want to open your account, how do you invest your money? You know what she would say if she is married? She would say, my husband takes care of that. Okay. Please ask him, I will give you his number. If she is unmarried, she is doing very well. Maybe she is a model somewhere, she is a journalist, she is a teacher. She will say, my papa takes care of my finance. Right? My father takes. It was totally a male-dominated area. I will tell you, I met a very successful, when I was a branch manager, some 30 years back. Okay, a very successful actress, okay, top, still she is top, married into the #1 family of Bollywood, okay. You know what did she say? At the age of 21, when she was earning that time around 3 to 4 crore rupees in a year, now she earns around 30 to 40 crore or maybe 300 crore rupees in a year. She says, Mr. Mishra, I thank you very much for coming, spending your time. But my papa takes care of my finances. That was the so-called women empowerment. No woman was empowered because no woman was handling one's own finance. Amongst you, I think 50% are girls. If you are not handling your finance, it means you will never be in a position to be empowered. Period. Okay. So, financial literacy means women's financial literacy, to be very honest. Okay, so that was the third literacy. What is the fourth literacy now which we are witnessing? Now, I am throwing the ball in your court. What is the fourth literacy? 3 literacies, recap. Actual literacy, computer literacy, and financial literacy. What is the fourth literacy which we are witnessing in front of our eyes? AI literacy, किसने किसने बोला था सबसे? All the best to you for your future. You are really very aware. और भी किसी ने बोला था? किसी ने बोला था AI literacy. आपने बोला था? Yes. So AI literacy is artificial intelligence. Okay. AI literacy doesn't mean that you have to dig deep into data. Okay, you have to invest in Nvidia in US. Okay, or you have to join Apple, or you have to join IBM, or you have to learn some. No, 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 nothing like that. AI literacy means you just have to be aware of the happenings, and you should be in a position to ask deep questions. AI literacy doesn't mean that, okay, when I say you have to be AI literate, so tomorrow everybody joins Python classes. Okay? It doesn't mean that, okay, you have to just, say, sort of get into JavaScript. No, no, that has nothing to do with AI literacy. AI literacy means that the questions which you never asked earlier, you should be asking now. Understand my point? And this is one literacy which is happening in front of your eyes because you have lost the bus for financial literacy, which happened 4-5 years back. Maybe that time you were in your school wearing knickers and skirts and you were really not aware of what finances are because your fees were paid by your mama and papa and you didn't bother about that. Only thing is that your birthday should have been celebrated nice. That's it. That was the only financial literacy 10 years back you were knowing about. Okay? So you missed that bus. Now what happens is, can you afford to miss? How many of you are raising hands who say that yes, you can afford to miss the AI literacy? How many of you? How many of you think that yes, if you lag behind in understanding of AI, you will be lagging behind in your life? How many of you think? Raise your hands. Only 20 people think that if they out of 100 or 110, only 20, 19. Okay. So 19 people think that AI literacy is useful. Really? Raise your hand if you think if you are not AI literate, you are nobody. Raise your hand. उसे खड़ा किया है हाँ. You are waiting for him to raise his hand. I'm telling you honestly. Don't try to miss this bus. You will repent. AI is not fake. It's going to stay. I have seen these 3 earlier literacies. People used to say women should never be empowered. औरत सिर्फ चूल्हा जलाने के लिए होती है. बस. उसका I have seen those days in urban areas. As soon as I used to go out of Bangalore, 10 kilometers, there are abject poverty. You go 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers outside of Mumbai, you will find there is no difference between Bihar and Maharashtra. Absolutely nothing. No roads, no water, no food, no health, no hygiene, nothing. So, India is not only about the 8, 10, 15, 20 or 50 cities. It's all about the millions and millions of women also. So I have seen that when people say literacy doesn't matter at all. औरत को पढ़ने के क्या फायदा है? स्कूल क्यों भेजना है लड़की को? शादी कर रही है ना इसकी. Has seen those days. Then computer literacy, people resisted. Computer should not come. It will snatch our job. Things like that. Then came women, this financial literacy. अरे हमारे तो पिताजी देख लेते हैं, हमारा तो भाई देख लेता है सब. और पता लग गया कि उसके बाद में भाई ने, पिताजी ने, हस्बैंड ने सारा पैसा हड़प कर लिया और सड़क पे. अगर फिनेंशियल इलिटरेसी की वजह से कोई तबका सफर करता है तो वो सिर्फ औरत होती है. यार आज का हमारा टॉपिक ये नहीं. ओके, तो आज का टॉपिक हमारा है बैंकिंग मास्टर क्लास. ओके, विद द हेल्प ऑफ एआई. ओके, some of you must be knowing about Ursa Minor. Okay, must have gone to some course. तो कितना है ये सब बच्चों को? Anybody who's been introduced to Ursa Minor? .in course आपने किसी ने बैंकिंग का किया? नहीं किया तो मैं आपको बस इतना बता दूं, आप लोगों ने किया कि okay, we are doing this 2.0 Ursa Minor which will be releasing before Diwali, and everything will be AI generated there. You will be logging in and there will be a person who will be helping you on for the interview. आपका कोई इंटरव्यू है, आप उसे टाइप करके डाल देंगे कि मेरा इंटरव्यू है बैंक के लिए। अभी वो बैंकिंग रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन पूछेगा और आपके आंसर पे वो मार्क्स देगा, ये आंसर सही है या गलत है। आपको किसी गाइड की जरूरत नहीं, सारे दिन लगेंगे। AI has got huge data, okay? उसके पास क्वेश्चंस की आंसर्स की कोई कमी नहीं है। Similarly, every bank these days, private sector bank also has some written examination. We also have mock tests generated by AI. So keep throwing questions and papers and mock tests in front of you. Keep doing it till you get satisfactory marks and you are satisfied to enter into any written test. Why AI is required here? Because human teachers, teachers like Anubhuti ma'am and I and others, okay, we have our limitations. Technology has no limitations. Absolutely. Okay? So that is that. As far as financial literacy is concerned, you guys may be often asked और आपके घर में क्वेश्चन आता है अक्सर यार इतने पैसे हैं कि कब डबल हो जाएंगे। मन में आता है ना कई बार, पेरेंट्स भी पूछते हैं अगर हम 10 लाख रुपए जमा करें तो 20 लाख कब बनेंगे, राइट? तो किसी को पता नहीं होता। आप कैलकुलेटर लेके बैठोगे तो घर पे 4 लोग होंगे, 4 आंसर देंगे। अगर आपसे मैं यहाँ पे पूछूं कि 10 लाख रुपए 20 लाख कब हो जाएंगे, तो कौन बता पाएगा मुझे कितने साल में हो जाएंगे? 10 years में हो जाएंगे डबल। ओके, मैं आपको एक हैक बताता हूँ। दिस इज नोन एज द फॉर्मूला ऑफ 72। ओके, 72 से डिवाइड कर दो रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट को, उतने टाइम में वो डबल। तो सपोज इफ यू आर गेटिंग 6% रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट, 72 डिवाइडेड बाय 6 इज 12। तो 12 साल में पैसा डबल। ठीक है, दिस इज इंटरेस्टिंग। से सपोज you have got somewhere something like 18% interest, which is not possible, but I am just telling 18% rate of interest you are getting somewhere. So 72 divided by 18, your money will be doubled in 4 years. Incidentally, our stock markets are giving this return. Stock markets are giving 18% year on year return. That's why every 4 years, if you have put money, I'm not telling that okay, that today you go back and you fight with your father that okay, give me 5 lakh rupees, I want to put in stock market. So they will take me to the court, your parents. Yeah, अभी तो भड़का रहा है हमारे बच्चों को. But the reality is that this is known as the hack of 70. हमेशा याद रखोगे आप लोग. अभी कोई आपसे पूछेगा हमारे यहाँ पैसा डबल करना है, कभी तो बोलो भाई क्या इंटरेस्ट पे लगाया हुआ है आपने? वो क्या कहा मैंने सेविंग्स बैंक में लगाया है, वहां पे कितना इंटरेस्ट मिल रहा है? 2%। ठीक है ना, सेविंग्स बैंक 2%, तो 72 डिवाइडेड बाय 2, 36 इयर्स में आपका पैसा डबल। तो इज इट गुड टू पुट योर मनी इन सेविंग्स बैंक? इट्स नॉट गुड। ओके, so this is one hack. You will be facing many such, I mean you will be coming across many such things as we proceed. So shall we proceed to the real master class? Yes. So far so good? Yes. Or as good as it gets? Has anybody seen that movie? It's a good one, huh? As good as it gets. Okay. So sum it up. There were 4 literacies. 3 you guys didn't, no, 2 you guys didn't witness. Third one, financial literacy, you were very young, okay? You are not aware. But this one, you people have to drive it for the people like me. I can't drive AI literacy. I'm too old to do that. Okay, Anubhuti ma'am has already cut my life by certain years. 6 घंटे के बजाय 4 घंटे, ठीक है ना? तो मेरा तो टाइम खत्म हो रहा है. But you people are starting a life. So you have to drive AI. Will you? Yes. Will you? Do you really think that I'm making sense when I say you can't afford to be AI illiterate? Am I making sense? Yes. What do you say? Yes. Yes? Yes. Right? Okay, do you guys have any WhatsApp groups or sort of? You have? Yogita, can you take some man sacred protein groups out? There we will be sending them so they can all see this. Anybody will be interested after all in these 40 slides? If yes, okay. Even if 10, 15 people are interested, they can then send it to others.
So we will share with them.
And you will share with each one of them. Okay. So you will say certainly get something. लेकिन वो क्या होता है ना जब इन्हें बोलते हो ना कि PowerPoint slide आएगी तो then they don't focus on what I say. So will you still be focusing on what I say?
Yes.
How's the Josh?
Hi, sir.
बस इतना ही हाई है. अरे मेन पेंटिंग तक जाना चाहिए. How's the Josh?
Hi, sir.
Now it is gone there. Okay. बस दम होना चाहिए बहुत. Okay. Now I will tell you something. Very often when I talk to students and when we meet over the break, tea, lunch, some break, okay? Students say, sir, ये पुरानी बातें याद करके क्या फायदा? What happened in 1906 and what happened then and there? उसका use क्या है? Okay, sir, कुछ नया बताओ ना. So I will just tell you something. That this is very important to know where the particular situation was 20, 30, 50, 100 years back. If you really want to learn your lessons, I am telling you, I like a quotation which said that this is not important that India won its freedom. It is not important to know how India won its freedom. ये इतना जरूरी नहीं है जानना कि हिंदुस्तान ने अपनी आजादी कैसे पाई. ये जानना ज्यादा जरूरी है कि हम गुलाम कैसे हुए थे. Do you agree with me or not?
Yes.
You agree?
Yes.
ये जानना ज्यादा जरूरी कि हम गुलाम हुए क्यों, जिससे कि वो गलती हम दोबारा ना कर सकें. Are we on the same page?
Yes.
Because if we are on the same page, moving forward will be fast. Fast. If we are all rowing, canoeing in the same direction, this will be much better than the different forces putting all their pressure in different directions. Then we will be standstill. Right? So let's move in one direction. That is why history is important. So that we don't commit the same mistakes. Okay. Some milestones, it is very important before we move forward. 1906, okay, there will be nobody in the country today alive who was born in 1906. Not possible. There is nobody who is 118 years old. और अगर माना 1906 में वो पैदा भी हुआ था तो क्या कर लेगा वो बताएगा क्या वो पैदा हुआ था. Okay. Establishment of the Indian Banks Association. Okay, it means there was an umbrella under which all the banks were coming. Means the banks had started talking to each other. You know what the problem happens? All the problems in life happen when we don't talk to each other. Whether in the office, whether in your college, whether in your personal life, whatever. Problems arise only when you don't talk to each other, when you don't contact or connect with each other. So 1906, banks started talking to each other under the umbrella of Indian Banks Association. So 1949, the Bible or the Quran or the Gita of banking was written. And that is Banking Regulations Act, BRA. What was written? I am repeating. The Bible, the Holy Quran, the Gita was written in 1949. Remember that. And the name of that holy book was Banking Regulation Act. That is the constitution of the bank. अपना constitution of India है ना? Similarly, there is a constitution for banks, and banks are still governed by BRA, Banking Regulations Act 1949. Okay, this is general knowledge. You must know. Now you know 1949 adds to 2024. Same law of governance. अभी आप ये सवाल कभी नहीं करना इतने साल पहले की बात बता के क्या फायदा हो रहा है, बिकॉज अगर आप यहाँ पे 100-120 लोग हैं, एटलीस्ट 20 to 30 people will be landing up sooner than later in some bank or financial institution, because they are so well paid, they offer such a wonderful career, such a healthy career, a safe place for women to work, okay, and directly contributing to the GDP of the country. Okay, so 20-30, at least 20% to 25% will be landing up sooner than later in a bank, whether it's a private sector bank, whether it's a NBFC, Tata Capital type of a company, okay, something like that. And there it will be useful, this type of a knowledge. You will that day remember that on 19th we had a Masterclass. You may not be remembering me, and good that you don't remember me, but remember the class. Cool? Shall I go ahead? Yes. 1955. आज का दिन क्यों फेमस है? कौन बताएगा? Why it is important today's day? Banking? Or who else will throw light on banking nationalization? What do we mean by banking nationalization? It is important to know what nationalization is before we go into banking. Nationalization means shifting the private ownership to government ownership. Now what is private ownership? इतना तो बता दो. Private ownership क्या होता है? Participate, interact, बोलो. What is private ownership? Sorry? Yeah? Owned by private. Like I will tell you, this bank is owned by her. Okay? And if government takes it, it becomes nationalized. But who says this bank cannot be taken away by the government? Who says that? Who says this bank cannot be taken away by the? Who says this is not government's property? Any property which is in the boundaries, within the boundaries of the nation, is government property. You know that? Then what is the difference? Private, public, anything which is within the boundaries of the country where our law runs is a government property. Just because you have paid the money doesn't make it your property. Okay? In the interest of the nation, government can say this is my property. Why? You are having roads widening and things like that. Till yesterday there was a shop and housing colony. Today it's not there because road is getting widened. It was government's property. They just gave you the right. You paid the stamp duty and things like that. For some time it became yours. But when government thinks it is in the larger interest of the nation, they take it away. So what is the why this nationalization? Why? When we say bank nationalization, means what? We'll be covering this thing in a very nice manner today, okay? Because without nationalization, our banking will never be complete. It will never be over. This is a very important milestone of the banking in our country. Okay, we'll cover it properly. Why I raised this point was because we unnecessarily blame the nationalization of 19th July 1969, right? 1969. That was the day 14 banks were nationalized, 14 large banks were nationalized whose deposits were 50 crore and above. Just imagine 50 crore deposit था बैंक का, अगर उससे ज्यादा है तो नेशनलाइज हो गया. आज की डेट में कांदी वैली वेस्ट के 50 कस्टमर ऐसे होंगे जो स्टेट बैंक ऑफ इंडिया में 50-50 करोड़ रुपए रखते होंगे, राइट? पूरे बैंक का तो सोचो भी मत. But yes, that time there was no money. Country had no money. 1962 China war had happened. All the money was sucked into it. Okay, anyway, we'll come to that later. But you must learn history. So 1969, 19th July, unnecessarily बेचारी डेट बदनाम हो गई. और उस बदनामी पे एक मोहर लगाने के लिए मैं भी यहाँ आ गया. हाँ? और आप लोगों को भी बिठा लिया इधर. लेकिन अगर ये सब किया है तो आप तो सीख के जाते हैं यहाँ से. ऐसा सीख के जाते हैं जो आप गूगल सर्च करोगे तो उस सीक्वेंस में मिलेगा नहीं. Google can give you only some rough hard data which you get tired of looking at, right? You just ask that, okay, Beijing. There will be 2 million sites on Beijing, right? Now the problem is which site you should read. What is the guarantee that the top 1, 2 or 3 will be the most authentic information about Beijing? Is there a guarantee? You write that, okay, Anant Ambani's marriage and there will be 3 million sites. By the way, that is one incident that I became tired of without attending it. और अगर एक दो दिन अभी लंदन में भी आप में से कोई जा रहा है? यार तमिल तो बता, गुजराती छो यार, जाओ. कोई नहीं जा रहा है? ठीक. ओके. नॉट वर्थ. सब कुछ फ्री में दे रहे हैं उधर. ओके. वो शॉप वॉप भी खोला हुआ है. आपको एप्पल फोन चाहिए उठा लो. रसीद भी देगा, जीरो वैल्यू. ठीक है सब कुछ. ओके, ऐसे थोड़ी 5,400 करोड़ रुपया खर्च हुआ. ओके, नाउ माय पॉइंट हियर इज कमिंग बैक टू दैट unnecessarily we blame, but we don't even realize that State Bank of India, from where I started my career in 83, okay, that was also once a private bank. We'll cover that also. To your surprise, even Reserve Bank of India was a. Okay, so why then we only talk about 19th July? All the coal mines were in private hands. All the insurance were in private hands. All these heavy engineering companies like Baumer Lorry and they were all private hands. They were all in private hands and they were all nationalized. All jute mills also were nationalized on 19th July. More than 150 companies were nationalized on 19th July. Okay, so what damage it did, what damage it didn't do, we will cover. Okay, let's cover nationalization of banks. Anybody has heard about Cicero? One of the most famous authors, politicians. To be ignorant of what occurred before you were born is to always remain a child. अगर आपको लगता है कि आपके पैदा होने से पहले की कोई चीज आपके लिए मायने नहीं रखती तो आप हमेशा बच्चे हैं. तो इम्पोर्टेंट है ना कोटेशन? मेक सेंस? That's why I say try to put some excitement that it is not important to know or not as much important to know that how we won the war of independence. It is more important to know how we became slaves. हम गुलाम क्यों हुए? अगर वो हम पकड़ लेंगे ना, समझे? वो अगर हम बात को पकड़ लेंगे तो हम फिर कभी दोबारा गुलाम नहीं होंगे. That is what it is. Okay? Okay, so we'll cover nationalization first. Naturally, it's a process where government takes your documents of ownership and says this is mine. So what happens is, थोड़ा सा political science देख लेते हैं. When you have to do this, you have to bring an act. You have to bring an act in the parliament. And parliament, this has to be passed through both the houses. How many houses are there in parliament? Two. Upper house, that is Rajya Sabha, and lower house, which is Sabha. After this is passed, it goes to the President of India. When President of India approves it, it goes to the Central Gazette notification. When it is notified in the Central Gazette, it is published for the public. When public also doesn't have any objection, it becomes an act. That is the process. So it starts with the cabinet meeting. First, cabinet approves, then Lok Sabha approves, then Rajya Sabha approves, then President approves, then Central Gazette notification publishes it, then it comes into the public by radio, newspapers, television media, whatever, and then when there is no objection to this, it becomes an act. It becomes an act. This route was not taken. The shortcut is ordinance. Okay, you make an ordinance, you say that this is going to be done, but an ordinance has to be converted into an act within 6 months. Within 6 months. So Indira Gandhi was in a hurry. First, she removed Morarji Desai in the night. He was the finance minister. He said, I will not approve. How can you just snatch people's property and make it your own property? It's not possible. But then she said, you go. He was sacked. And then this was brought. Nobody opposed it because owners are how many? 150. And public is in crores. So no party would oppose it. But those people went to the Supreme Court, the owners of banks. And who won? Indira Gandhi or those people? Indira Gandhi lost. Indira Gandhi lost. Supreme Court said this is wrong. What you have done, it cannot take anybody's property like that. So she got very furious. And you know who was the advocate? Nani Palkhiwala. Have you heard about, anybody heard about Nani Palkhiwala? Nobody? That is what I am saying. In India, there are not many people who were born which are of the stature of Nani Palkhiwala. Okay, Parsi, as the name suggests. So Nani won many such cases against the government, okay, and was the biggest legal luminary till date. Must know about that, okay? And I got a YouTube channel where I have put the Constitution of India in 11 parts. Just 10 minutes, the Corona time में बहुत कुछ किया, and this became very popular. So कभी आप अगर मेरी YouTube channel आपको लिंक भेजूंगा, Constitution of India जरूर देखना. इसका तो कोई पैसा नहीं लगता है. Okay, it will increase your knowledge like anything. Okay, even advocates have seen. Okay, couple of judges have seen that. Okay, law students have seen. Okay, not that he is one of the greatest material. I told you, I am an average teacher, very average trainer. मेरे जैसे लोग दोगुने टाइम मिलते हैं, लेकिन ठीक है, मेहनत करेंगे तो थोड़ा सा अच्छा रिजल्ट आता है. Okay. Now, what happened was, argument given by Indira Gandhi was that see there are 400 banks there were. Every year 30 or 40 banks were failing. You know what Nani Palkhiwala said in the court? Suppose if there are many cars in Mumbai and Delhi and drivers are violating rules, somebody is jumping red light, somebody is jumping yellow light, somebody is lane cutting, somebody is wrong side driving. What you are doing, Mrs. Gandhi, is that you say nobody will drive a car till the people have got a government appointed chauffeur. Supreme Court जज से what an argument. आपको क्या करना चाहिए? You should strengthen RTO. तो ट्रैफिक पुलिस वाले को सिखाओ कि किसी को जाने नहीं देना है गलत लेन में. कंट्रोलर को बस बिठाओ. ये थोड़ी आपने बैन कर दिया कि आज के बाद में कोई गाड़ी नहीं चलाएगा. जब तक सरकारी ड्राइवर नहीं होगा कार में, गाड़ी नहीं चलेगी। That's what they did. कि हाँ तुम्हारा बैंक फेल हो रहा है, अभी कोई भी बैंक प्राइवेट सेक्टर में नहीं रहेगा, सब सरकारी बैंक हो जाएंगे। अगर सरकारी बैंक होना इतना ही अच्छा था, तो फिर 1969 के बाद में एक भी सरकारी बैंक क्यों नहीं बना? किसी भी गवर्नमेंट में एक भी सरकारी बैंक क्यों नहीं बना? अगर सरकारीकरण was such a wonderful thing, if bank nationalization was such a marvelous idea, why not even a single bank was promoted after 69? Why? If it was such a wonderful thing, everything should be. Why any insurance company was not promoted? Why government didn't promote even an engineering company? Why? Coal company? Nothing. It means it was a public move, which it was. Okay. Everybody knows State Bank. State Bank was actually Imperial Bank of India. Wherever you see Imperial and Royal, two words, it means they belong to British. Okay. Wherever you see these two words, some of you may be tomorrow joining Royal Bank of Scotland, which is a British bank. Okay. So Royal means British, Royal Navy, Royal Army, Royal Air Force. Okay. Royal means British, and Imperial means belonging to the empire. So which empire? British Empire. Okay, so always remember this. Imperial कहीं पे आ जाए ना, अब ऐसा नहीं कि इधर फोर्ट में फाउंटेन में इंपीरियल होटल करके है तो वो भी पहले था, पहले गोरे लोगों का था। इंपीरियल सिनेमा है ना, वो भी पहले गोरे लोगों का था। तो इंपीरियल और रॉयल these two words are. So this bank, Imperial Bank of India, became State Bank of in 1955. Okay, so that was the first nationalized bank. Okay, first bank nationalized was bank. That was also a private sector bank, 80-20, 80% private, 20% public. Now, what happened when she lost in Supreme Court? When Mrs. Gandhi lost the case in Supreme Court, she brought an act, Acquisition Act. As you are seeing it, Banking Company Acquisition and Transfer of Undertaking Act of 1970, क्योंकि 69 में किया था, 6 महीने के अंदर आपको लेके आना है, जुलाई, so in January, February, the act was brought, and once it becomes an act, then it is formalized. Now nobody can challenge. Okay. You can read it for yourself. What were the reasons given by the then Prime Minister in the court to her attorney? She said that all these banks are controlled by houses which are belonging to rich people, like Central Bank of India belonged to Tata. That very same day, Air India was also nationalized. Air India belonged to Tata. Indian Airlines was also nationalized, same day. Indian Airlines belonged to Tata's again. Tata's had airlines business, they had started airlines business. They had a bank, Central Bank of India. Punjab National Bank belonged to Times of India Group. Okay, like that. So all these banks were belonging to some or the other rich person. So they said that the country's banking was in the hands of a few. From few rich people, it became the property of few babus. Babus, you understand, no? Bureaucrats. Some finance controller, some finance secretary, okay, some finance minister somewhere, some chairman who was a political appointee, somebody who was, whose father or uncle was in ministry, they all became chairman of this bank. So there was not much of a difference later on. Okay, they said agri, MSME, etc. was not preferred. If you see that 6 years back, 7 years back, Punjab National Bank had the biggest fraud of India. Mehul Choksi. and Nirav Modi. Have you forgotten? Or you never remembered that? Punjab National Bank, not HDFC Bank or ICICI Bank, private sector. A very big public sector bank, 12,000 crore rupees in 2016, the fraud was created. Okay, and this was in public sector. So it means they were giving loans without looking into any papers to large industrialists fraudulently. Have you ever come across that the fraud has happened in HDFC Bank of 10,000 crore, ICICI Bank of 20,000 crore, or City of 5,000 crore? Why? There is a due diligence. No minister can put any pressure. In public sector, ministers, IS officers, MLAs, etc., they can put pressure. They can recommend. So the purpose was solved. What Indira Gandhi did, was this purpose solved? That the loan should go to MSME, agri. Still agricultural sector is not given any loan. Still, किसान को तो पैसा अभी भी नहीं मिलता है. कितने साल हो गए? 55 years हो गए. After 55 years, situation is the same. The purpose was defeated. Very badly the purpose was defeated. Absolutely. Okay. The government took control of 14 commercial banks to remove control by a few and to encourage entrepreneurs. Okay. Yeah. So these were the banks, you can see. Have you ever noticed any of these banks? Must have. Okay. Some have been actually shut down. Okay. Like Dena Bank has been merged. Syndicate has been merged. Okay. So many banks now. There are only 12 banks remaining out of 28. 12 banks have been remaining. Smaller banks have all been merged with larger. Again, what happened that on 15th April 1980, another wave came. And these smaller 6 banks, these were much smaller, but they were also public sector banks. Must have heard the name, Andhra Bank, Corporation Bank. New Bank of India was merged, okay, with Punjab National Bank within 10 years of its nationalization. It was so weak. Oriental Bank of Commerce has been merged, okay, with Punjab National Bank now. Punjab and Sindh Bank is the only bank which is surviving out of these banks. This we have covered. You can see Supreme Court verdict. You should know some law. Okay. So what happened was, when they lost in the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court said, because no money was given to the owners, what Supreme Court says is, what the law of India says, that when you acquire something, let's say I gave an example of that government can acquire the bag of this little girl here. Okay. Yeah. After. Suppose my government and I want to acquire this bag, I have to compensate her for that. What happens is, I don't even compensate. And I said 10 rupees de. And now she refuses 10 rupees also. Everybody refused the money because they were given 100 or 1,000. Somebody was given as low as 50,000 rupees for the bag. 50,000 rupees bank de do. Just imagine, they refuse. They say thank you very much. We don't want anything, take it. What can we do? Otherwise, you will put us in jail. So Supreme Court said compensation should be given. Then they brought an amendment that the compensation need not be market driven. Whatever government finds it good will give compensation. Understand? I want to acquire this phone and I say okay, 2 rupees. So and I make an amendment in the constitution and just I pay 2 rupees and take the phone. Now that was the situation. There was actually no law. And that was the time when China was opening up its economy. That time India's economy was larger than China's economy. You know that? Me also, when I was a 9-year-old boy, I am 1960 born. I was a 9-year-old boy when this happened. My country's economy was larger than China's economy. Now China's economy is roughly 5 times bigger than India's economy. Everybody looks toward China. We want to become like China. We want to become like China. There was a time when we were bigger than China. Can you imagine? And China was opening its borders. It was privatizing things, and they laughed at us. That see, these people are closing their economy. These people are closing their economy. The world didn't have any confidence in us. The world was laughing at us. Because if you want to invest in a country like India, how you invest? You invest through banks only. And banks are all gone. So they said, okay, fine, we don't have any trust in you. Why should we invest in you? Your banking system is closed, government driven. You are not encouraging private investment. You are not even obeying the law passed by Supreme Court. There is no law. Whatever you want, you will do. Why should we invest in you? We'll go to China and see where China is, where we are. This started just 55 years back. Had they not done it, we would be bigger than China. We would be almost as big as United States today had we taken right decisions at that time. That is what my theory is. Got it? So for you to see that our judiciary lost and the demise of our banking system began. And in liberalization, what happened? 1991. Have you read some economic history of the country? In 1991, the country did not have any money to import. And then we had only reserves for importing 1 week of oil. That's it. And then that time, our Prime Minister Chandrasekhar, he had gone to Japan and UK. He went to Japan, some others went to UK, personally in a plane, keeping the gold. Keeping the gold in the plane, they pledged that gold and brought $600 million, not even 1 million, and then they ran the country. Luckily, 2 people came afterwards who changed the destiny of this country. One was Prime Minister Narasimha Rao, number 2 was the Finance Minister Manmohan Singh. These 2 people, they decided, and then we went to IMF. That was the last time India went to IMF, International Monetary Fund. We didn't go to IMF. And today, how much are our reserves? We didn't have $1 billion of reserves that time. Now, how much reserves the country is having? Sorry? Any idea? Any rough? You should know? Sorry? How much reserves? 650 billion here. Let's clap for him. $655 billion. $655 billion, the 5th largest in the world. China is having 3 trillion, Japan 1 trillion, I'm saying benchmark. Japan 1 trillion, Switzerland around 800 billion, okay, Saudi Arabia 700 billion, and because they produce oil, Switzerland, 3 crore people only. We are 140 crore people. 655 billion US dollars. Pakistan is crying. How much reserves they are having? $6 billion only. With 25 crore people. Okay, they don't have any money, they don't import anything these days, nothing. Their economy is going down, negative. We started together. Okay, we learned our lessons from 91 onward, other countries didn't. So this is the situation. And very soon, I think, when you people will go for your jobs in 3 years or 4 years time, then you will be properly there. You will be having $1 trillion reserves, and in 3 years time, you will be the 3rd largest economy. Right now, we are at 5th position. We are at fifth position. What is the size of our economy currently, officially? Officially, roughly, it is $4 trillion. Okay, $4 trillion. Above us is Japan, $4.1 trillion. Above that is Germany, $4.2 trillion. So we will replace them in 3 years' time. Then big jump. China, $18 trillion, and America, $28 trillion. Okay, so these are the figures you should remember. Okay, will help. And below us is UK, 3.2. Below that is France, 3.1. Below that is Italy, okay, 2.9. Below that is Canada, 2.8. Below that is Russia, 2.2. Like to top. So this is the size of our economy. We have come long way ahead, but then we made some very big mistakes. So Cicero's quotation, you should remember that if you think this is not important to know what happened before you were born, you will always remain a child. बच्चे ही रहो, ठीक है? बच्चे तो नहीं रहना हमें, रहना? बिल्कुल नहीं रहना, बड़ा होना है, सीखना है, गलतियों से अपने माँ बाप और फादर्स की गलतियों से सीखना है, ओके? और फिर आगे बढ़ना है. So still, if you people think that nationalization was a wonderful thing, how many of you think that okay, we can argue, we can discuss, or was it really not good? So I am a product of nationalization. Had there not been State Bank of India, what I would join? So 10 लाख लोगों का competition था, 800 सीट थी, तो उसमें आया. तो बैंक था तभी तो आया, तभी तो मेहनत की, नहीं तो कैसे करता? तभी भी 10 लाख लोग एफपीआर होते थे, अभी भी एसबीआईपीओ में 10 लाख लोग एफपीआर होते. ठीक है, तो मेरा पॉइंट ये है कि अगर वो नहीं होता, प्राइवेटाइजेशन होता, I would have grown even more, and that is exactly why after becoming chief manager in State Bank, सरकारी जॉब छोड़ के प्राइवेट जॉब. Okay, because I mean there was a crisis. सरकारी जॉब को छोड़ता है क्या? कोई नहीं छोड़ता. मैं आपके सामने खड़ा हूँ, छोड़ा. ओके, एंड नेवर रिपेंटेड. ओके, योर व्यू. आप देखना जब आपके पास से आएगा, प्लीज गिव योर व्यू ऑन बैंक नेशनलाइजेशन. आई गॉट ए यूट्यूब आल्सो ऑन दैट, वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. आप पढ़ोगे, आपको मजा आएगा. ओके, पढ़ोगे नहीं मतलब देखोगे. 8-8, 10-10 मिनट के 11 वीडियोस हैं ऑन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ इंडिया. इन केस एनी ऑफ यू आर गोइंग फॉर कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम्स, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ इंडिया से 4 या 5 क्वेश्चन तो आते हैं. आप पीओ का एग्जाम दें, क्लरिकल दें, कोई सा भी एग्जाम देंगे, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ इंडिया आपका पीछा नहीं छोड़ेगा. एंड दैट इज द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट बुक इन इंडिया, राइट? Which is the most important book? We are sitting here because there is a Constitution of India somewhere written by somebody, right? वो नहीं होता हम यहाँ बैठ नहीं सकते. Country would have gone to chaos, right? Agree with me or not? Yes. Country would not be surviving at all if Constituent Assembly would not have been created. Constitution Committee would not have been drafted. The head of the drafts committee was Baba Saheb Ambedkar. See, people make a mistake. They say that it was written by him. No, it is not like that. It was written by the Constituent Assembly. He was the head of the drafting committee, a very important job. But Rajarshi Tandon and many people, okay, like that, they had contributed to that, okay. And then a legal luminary like Baba Saheb Bhimrao Ambedkar, he was having the last, and he was a wise man, and he is decisively and rightfully known as the father of the Constitution, no doubt about it. But it's a mistake to say that he single-handedly wrote it. So कभी ये गलती मत करना अगर एग्जाम में क्वेश्चन आए तो ऐसा. It was written by the Constituent Assembly, where the draft committee head was Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, Bhimrao Ambedkar. जैसा महाराष्ट्र में होता है ना, अप्पा साहेब, बाबा साहेब ऐसा लगाते हैं ना, तो वो तो रेस्पेक्टफुली ही वाज नोन एज बाबा साहेब, ठीक है? अदरवाइज हिज नेम वाज B.R. Ambedkar. Okay. Now, major milestones. 1991, we have covered economic liberalization. Okay, 1991 was the year when I came to Mumbai on a promotion in State Bank. And here, I was the branch manager of State Bank Kandivali branch. Can you imagine? There is a State Bank here, right? We are in Kandivali West, very near to your place. There was branch, and I was 30 years of age that time, young. Okay, it was a chief manager branch, and I was the branch manager. And that was the year when I decided to leave and sent my biodata to various multinational banks, because there were no private sector banks. And everywhere I was rejected. So once I asked, boss, मैं कोट पहन के जाता हूँ, इंग्लिश में ठीक ठाक सी तो बोल ही लेता हूँ, why I'm rejected? जैसे बेटा तुम MBA नहीं, और हम लोग का पॉलिसी है अगर आप MBA नहीं करोगे तो हम लेंगे नहीं. तो then what somebody should have done? अभी आप स्टेट बैंक पीओ हो, थोड़ा ईगो भी है, तो क्या करेंगे आप? So what I did, I started going for evening classes in Jamnalal Bazaar. You know, it is far end of the city. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3-year course, and I completed my MBA from the evening classes. And then I gave my biodata. First attempt I was selected. Seriously, first time in a French bank, and I was sent abroad. I didn't like it much. वहाँ करने के लिए कुछ था ही नहीं. आप 9:30 से पहले ऑफिस जा नहीं सकते, 5 बजे के बाद बैठ नहीं सकते. तो क्या करेंगे? ये तो अपनी आदत नहीं थी. यहाँ आधी रात को घर पहुंच नहीं पाते थे. 1 बजे पहुंच रहे हैं, सुबह 7 बजे फिर निकले. तो उधर तो लगता था काम ही नहीं है, कुछ फोकट की तनख्वाह. वो आदत नहीं हिंदुस्तानी आदमी को फोकट की तनख्वाह लेने की. ठीक है. तो when I came back, I left and joined HDFC. Okay, and there I progressed and did that. So this is my history of banking. But 1991 liberalization I have seen through my eyes. All your private sector bringing public issues and everything. Okay. Financial sector liberalizing. I used to see every day new finance company getting opened. NBFCs, nobody knew before that the name of NBFCs. What are NBFCs? Nobody bothered about it. But here, Bajaj Capital, like that, so many Tata Capital, many new companies started coming up because government of India was liberalizing at a breakneck speed. They say whatever business you want to do, you do. We have absolutely no role, no license required, no permit required, no quota required. They killed the license permit quota Raj in 1991. Before that, if there is a Bajaj Auto and they are given a license of making 1 lakh scooters in a year, they cannot make 1 lakh scooters in the year. They will be put behind bars. इतना ही लाइसेंस है तुम्हारे पास this is capacity. Rahul Bajaj said I have capacity to make 2 lakh scooters. Why there is a waiting period of 7 years for a Bajaj scooter, 8 years, 10 years waiting period for a Bajaj Chetak? जैसे तुमको 1 लाख ही बनाना है बस. 1 लाख से एक भी ऊपर बन गया तो तुम्हें फांसी चढ़ा देंगे. That was known as the license quota permit Raj, which was abolished in 91, a milestone. 1993, the most important year. I joined HDFC Bank. Okay, I applied in 1994 when the first branch was opened. My society general didn't allow me to go because they say हमने आपको भी फॉरेन भेजा था, इतना खर्चा किया था हम लोगों ने, वो पैसा वापस दे दो. तो I asked how much money I had to pay. They say 1,50,000 rupees you have to pay back. Then 1,50,000 किधर से लाऊं उनको पे करने के लिए? So then they said you have to work for 2 more years in the bank. I worked, but I didn't have that type of money because in 1990s 1,50,000 was a big amount when my salary was 25,000. So I joined HDFC Bank taking a cut. In 96, when I joined HDFC Bank, my salary was only 16,000 rupees. But those days I didn't know where to spend 16,000 rupees because I used to stay in Kandivali that time and my two-bedroom flat rent was 800 rupees. 800 rupees. Okay, on SV road facing. Just imagine. What was the situation that time? 800 rupees. Now 80,000 rupees would be the rent of that. I'm telling you honestly, it was lavish, big flat. Okay, and on the sixth floor, and I used to see Gorai Creek from there because there were no other buildings that time. So those were the days. Not a part of my curriculum here, but then okay, it always helps to relate that what was 800 rupees and what is 800 rupees now. Okay, nowadays if you lose somewhere 800 rupees in some cafe, you won't even go back there. अरे खो गया क्या है, मेरी किस्मत में ही नहीं थी, है ना? But if suppose if those days I would lose 800 rupees, I would go to the police station also. But I got my 800 rupees, search it, and they would help me searching that. Okay, those were the days. 2001, okay, 91, 93, private sector bank. Earlier 10 private sector bank licenses were given, which came up in 1994-95. How many are surviving? HDFC Bank. Another names? ICICI, somebody said. Third, Axis. Axis was named earlier UTI. And then fourth, IDBI. And State Bank is the private sector bank. Okay. And then after 10 years, 2003, three more licenses were given. Kotak Bank, Yes Bank, and IBM. Okay. So these were the banks, Kotak and Yes. I'm 100% sure IDFC will find out whether it was given in 2003 or 2013. I think it was given in 2013, IDFC, right? 13. IDFC was given, so 10 years later they were given licenses. The most successful bank ever has been HDFC. There I worked for 21 years. Okay, milestone 2014. Now, one thing we have forgotten there. Introduction of SurfaceC. Anybody knows about SurfaceC? It is important. Now, this is core banking for which I have come here. What happens is, banks give loan, banks take deposits, bank give loans. Taking deposits is very easy. Giving loan is easier. Okay? Giving loans is easier. Recovery is the toughest thing in the world. When you have to recover, even if God is on your side, you can't recover. Okay? It's almost impossible at first. So then SurfaceC Act came into the picture, which said you don't have to go to the court to take possession of your property against which the loan has been given. You have mortgaged your flat, your bungalow, your factory, your office, your godown. You just go get the possession. That is SurfaceC. So the businessman also was shaken. That see now, कोई हेराफेरी नहीं चलेगी. If I have given my security, that security will be realized, and that speeded up the process of lending. Okay. Achha, for your kind information, I will tell that this slideshow is not all today, huh? So I am going on a white screen, writing everything there, making the entire process flow of banking. So the real banking is yet to come. This is trailer. Okay. So she says I didn't even like the trailer. What did you say? Nothing. I was just bluffing, huh? I wanted to see because we were Not very sure whether you will be staying for that. Okay. You will be staying for that? Whole day? For 4 hours you will be staying? 4 hours. I got at least one supporter. Okay. So surfacing will be there. You should know that. I am telling you for the simple reason, banking is a very tough job. Very tough. Okay. You forget about your family, you forget about your, say, hobbies, etc. Because it's public service. Wherever there is public service, the toughness starts. It's a front office job. Entire banking, whether you are branch manager, whether you're in IT, whatever you do in a bank is a front office job. So first of all, never think that there is a back office job in a bank. Absolutely not. Okay. So you should be ready for banking. But then what are the benefits? The biggest benefit is highly paid. Highly paid means highly paid. And every promotion can make your salary go up 2 to 3 times. It never happens in public sector bank. You may join at 16. I mean, it's not right for me to say that what my salary was when I left the bank, but it was, I couldn't dream of that. Okay. That what the retirement benefits I got when I retired and things like that. What the ESOP I got, the share options I got and things like that. I wouldn't really imagine that it could happen to me. Okay. So this happens only in private sector banks. Nowhere. If you are in a right bank at the right time, you have a very respectful, dignified life, full of money, full of reputation, and full of challenges. You won't have to think about switching that career. कोई चांस ही नहीं. ओके, चैलेंजेस बहुत है. रात में 12 बजे तक बैठे हुए हैं, मेल डाल रहे हैं, घर में आके भी अरे यार वो प्रोजेक्ट नहीं किया, कल तो एमडी को देना है. I know all that happens, but then the money which is credited into your account on the last day of the month makes you forget all the. Okay, so you can judge for yourself that okay whether you want a banking career or not. But if you want, you should be very well prepared. Learn it. 2014, as I told you, Jan Dhan account, 50 crore accounts so far have been opened. 50 crore with $30 billion in deposits. And $1 billion is 8,300 crore. Because $1 is 83 rupees. Okay? So we thought that okay, the zero balance accounts can't do much, but they have done much. Types of banks. Okay. Now, Yogita, which number of slides we are? 29. So we are having 40. So I now need the white stick. Okay. And then I need the stylus so that we can get into the real bank. Now, am I audible? Yes. Every banker knows how to shout. Every banker. Because when I left, I had 600 and odd people under me. Team leaders were only 20, but in banking, nobody works till you shout at your subordinates. Okay. So the voice automatically becomes louder. So now we are going to know how a bank works, right? It will help you a lot, not only for your academics, but for your interview, everything. Okay? That's why I say So far it was a trailer, and now it's a real picture. So, okay. Guys, anybody knows I need the red and blue colors actually. I need and erasers. Okay, so do I have your permission to start? What is the eraser? This? I'm having one at my office where we have the recording studio, but that's a different one. Okay, and I get used to it. Don't worry. Right? That's how a physical bank is. Everybody can see that. I need your undivided attention because this is something which you will not learn in a textbook, which you will even if you do Google search, you will not be taught like this. Okay, it comes by experience, and it's better to learn from a person who has put in 35 years of his life in a bank, in banks, okay? Here, abroad, everywhere, in public sector, private sector, multinational, all the three worlds I have seen. So try to learn from my experience, it will be worth the while. Okay. So this is bank. Again, the bank can be, say the first thing is the bank has one Bible, everybody knows. And what is the name of that Bible? The Banking Regulation Act 1949. Right? कोई doubt किसी को? Every bank is governed by Banking Regulations Act 1949. Okay? Which is the controller of banks? Every agency which is into the public service, I repeat, any agency which is into the public service has got a controller, right? Like insurance, it is controlled by IRDA. Your share market is controlled by SEBI, right? Your aviation controlled by Aviation Ministry. Your corporate world controlled by Ministry of Corporate Affairs, NCA, like that. Every public service utility health, okay, by the Health Ministry, okay, National Health System, okay. So everything where there is public involved, and where public service, public finance is involved, it is governed by a controller. So controller of banks is RBI. Apart from banks, what other things RBI controls? It also controls NBFCs. Okay? It also controls NBFCs, full form of NBFCs, non-banking financial companies. Okay, sorry, non-banking finance companies. Okay, right? So non-banking finance companies are also governed by RBI. So RBI also has an act, and that is known as RBI Act 1934. You will not forget that, no? RBI came into picture as it is now on 1st of April 1935 under RBI Act 1934. So these two are your, you can say, two holy, तो एकदम धार्मिक ग्रंथ हैं आपके. If you want to touch finance sector in any case, and I will tell you, if you are ever selected for an NBFC, for an insurance company, for a brokerage, anything. Some of you may be in third year. How many of you are in the third year? Oh, pretty good number, at least 5 to 10%. And how many second year? Okay, and first year? One. First year are the maximum. So I will tell you, I'm giving you some career tips also during this. Okay, and remind me if I don't give you. Don't let me go through that door if I don't give you career tips. Okay, what you should do going forward. Okay. So what happens is, if you have decided that finance is going to be your career in any way, either brokerages or maybe through competitive exams of SBI, RBI, private sector banks salary cannot match the RBI level, the RBI's entry level salary. RBI grade B, which is joined by 22, 23-year-old people, the monthly salary is 2,50,000 rupees, the package of 30 lakh rupees. IITs also don't give this type of package. So you people should be aware of, especially the boys and girls which are in the first year, okay, should give their 2 years to prepare RBI grade B. I'm telling you, life is set forever. You will rise to the level of deputy governor. You will make the policies for the entire nation. But you have to work. कुछ भी बिना मेहनत किए मिलता नहीं है बॉस, मुझसे सीख कुछ भी नहीं मिलता है. वो मैं यहाँ पे इसलिए शेयर नहीं करूँगा क्योंकि टाइम नहीं है और ज़्यादा सेंटिमेंटी होकर कुछ मिलता नहीं है लाइफ में. लेकिन आई हैव रियली वर्क फ्रॉम द एज ऑफ 14 years. That's how I could crack my first all India competition when I was only 16. NDA, National Defense Academy. Okay. So my point here is that without working hard, you won't be in a position to achieve anything. कुछ भी मिलेगा नहीं. 16 साल की उम्र में NDA किया, 21 साल की उम्र में SBI किया, उसके उसी ईयर में प्रोविंशियल सिविल सर्विसेज PCS कर दिया, उसी उम्र में उसी टाइम में IAS प्रीलिम्स कर दिया. मेन नहीं हुआ, ठीक है, सबसे सब कुछ नहीं होता, हमारी कैपेबिलिटी उतनी नहीं थी. ओके, SBI क्यों कर दिया. ओके, नाउ कमिंग बैक टू दिस. अभी तक किसी को कोई डाउट है? Under banking regulation act, every bank has to write bank in its name. There cannot be a bank which is not mentioning bank in its name. पहला अटेम्प्ट है. आपको कोई फ्रॉड अगर हो रहा है और बोले कि मैं उससे बोल रहा हूँ जन सेवा और पेढ़ी से, तो समझ लो बैंक, और ये बहुत बड़ा बैंक है नेपाल का, तो आप समझ लो कि ये तो सब चीटिंग है. या यहाँ पे नया बैंक खुल रहा है, उसके लिए जॉब दिला रहे हैं हम आपको, अब 1 लाख रुपया दो, तो उसके नाम में बैंक है ही नहीं. तो इफ इट इज अ बैंक, its name will be having bank written into it. Is that clear? Yes. That is said by Banking Regulations Act. RBI also gets all its power by Banking Regulations Act. All the powers of RBI supervision come from Banking Regulations Act. यहाँ तक हम क्लियर हो गए, तो आगे बढ़ो. चले आगे. Okay. Now, बैंक का काम क्या है? क्या करता है बैंक? Sorry. Now here I want your participation. Yes, what a bank does. Sorry, deposit. Yeah, very good. Deposit लेता है, right? अभी तो आपको फॉर्मूला ऑफ 72 बताया था मैंने कि आपका पैसा कितने टाइम में कितना बढ़ेगा. 72 डिवाइडेड बाय द रेट ऑफ रिटर्न, नॉट इंटरेस्ट, रेट ऑफ रिटर्न. अगर रेट ऑफ रिटर्न 6 है, 72 डिवाइडेड बाय 6, 12 साल में आपका पैसा डबल होगा. If it is 12, then 6 years में हो जाएगा. Suppose some bank is offering you a rate of interest of 12%, then 72 formula, you can tell your father, uncle, whoever asking कि पापा आपका पैसा इसमें 6 साल में डबल हो जाएगा. कहीं कितना जल्दी बच्चे ने बता दिया ना, हमारा बच्चा जीनियस है ना. जीनियस नहीं हो, मेरे को थैंक यू बोलना. फॉर्मूला 7, आप तो वैसे के वैसे ही हैं, सिखाया मैंने यार, थोड़ा तो शाबाशी दो टीचर को. हाँ, ओके. तो फॉर्मूला ऑफ 72 याद रहेगा. मीन्स share market these days is giving returns of 18% per annum year after year. Namaste madam. Year after year. So 72 divided by 18 means every 4 years your money is getting doubled, which is a reality. Now it is crossed, even I think, or crossing, it's crossed already 81,000 BSC Sensex yesterday. Okay. Huh? Right? 81,000 and going to touch 82, 83, things like that, maybe by budget. Budget is on Monday. Every one of you should see the budget. And if you want, and if your teacher agrees, HOD, I will one day come and will give you a lecture on how to see the budget. बजट के फिगर्स कैसे देखते हैं, बजट के फिगर्स का मतलब क्या होता है, पैसा आता है तो कैसे आता है, डायरेक्ट टैक्स क्या होता है, इनडायरेक्ट टैक्स क्या होता है, कस्टम्स कैसे कैलकुलेट की जाती है, और पैसा जाता है तो कहाँ जाता है, डेफिसिट क्या होता है, करंट अकाउंट डेफिसिट क्या होता है, बजट डेफिसिट क्या होता है. अगर आप चाहेंगे तो होगा, वरना मेरी मर्जी से तो कुछ नहीं होगा. ओके. नाउ इन्होंने बोला कि बैंक का एक काम है डिपॉजिट लेना, और क्या काम है बैंक का, लोन देना. राइट. तो बैंक क्या करता है, इसका मतलब है पैसा डिपॉजिट लेता है, आप सबसे लेता है ना, और बैंक लोन देता है आप सबको. तो बैंक तो सिर्फ दलाली कर रहा है ना, तो बैंक दलाल है, which is right. Banks are the biggest middlemen. Banks are the biggest middleman, biggest. लेकिन हम लोग एक मिडलमैन का वर्ड यूज नहीं करते, तो शरीफ लोग हैं, हम लोग कहते हैं इंटरमीडियरी. क्या वर्ड यूज करते हैं? हाँ. हम जब शेयर बाजार में जाते हैं तो बेचारे सटोरिये हो जाते हैं, हम इंटरमीडियरी, है ना. तो उनके साथ नाइंसाफी हो जाती है थोड़ी. तो बैंक क्या होता है, हमेशा याद रखना कि बैंक इज एन इंटरमीडिएट. बैंक का अपना कुछ नहीं होता. ठीक है. बैंक आपसे ही पैसा लेता है और आप में से ही कुछ लोगों को पैसा पीरियड. इज दैट क्लियर? आपसे ही पैसा लेता है और आप में से कुछ लोगों को पैसा दे देता है. सारी बैंकिंग इन्हीं चीजों के इर्द गिर्द होगी. इज दैट क्लियर? नथिंग एल्स, नथिंग एल्स. आपका पैसा आपसे लिया, आपके चाचा जी का बिजनेस है. अब क्या होता है, एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है, यहाँ पे ध्यान दो. आपसे पैसा लेंगे तो इंटरेस्ट रेट रहेगा कुछ, और आपको पैसा देंगे तो कुछ इंटरेस्ट रेट रहेगा. विच इंटरेस्ट रेट विल बी हायर? Lending rate will be higher, right? Lending rate will be higher, and deposit rate will be lower. What is this activity called? This is something which nobody will take. That is why I am saying that Google tells you so much that you can't filter it out. So learn from the people, those who are subject matter experts. Okay. What is this activity called? Arbitrage. But क्या कहते हैं उसको? So bank survives on arbitrage. Okay. Means taking deposits at cheaper rate and lending at a higher rate and getting the flesh of the pound of flesh means the surplus money is known as arbitrage. So bank actually is in the activity of. Is that clear? Yes. अभी आगे चलें? Yes. Okay. Now, the sources of the bank has its own balance sheet. Everybody of you knows balance sheet? Yes. When you see a company's balance sheet, first there are assets and then there are liabilities. In a bank's balance sheet, first there are liabilities and then there are assets. क्योंकि पहले पैसा जाएगा पहले पैसा आएगा पहले डिपॉजिट लोगे ना लॉस तभी तो लैंड करोगे डिपॉजिट्स क्या है लायबिलिटीज है बैंक के लिए देना है वापस किसी को तो चलिए बैंक की बैलेंस शीट बना लेते हैं अगर आपने बैंक की बैलेंस शीट समझ ली ना तो आप आज बहुत खुशी खुशी जाएंगे एक बहुत अच्छी चीज सीख के जाएंगे अभी तक तो कुछ सीखा है I would love to hug you, huh? से बोल रहा हूँ कुछ सीखा नहीं कुछ तो सीखा है ना बिकॉज आपकी टी शर्ट में खतरे का निशान है रेड कलर हाँ तो लड़की भी देख अभी आया नहीं वहां पर आर्बिट्राज करते हैं बैंक तो लेट्स मेक द बैलेंस शीट आइए आज आपको थोड़ा सा अकाउंटिंग सिखाते हैं तो बैलेंस शीट में इधर लायबिलिटीज हो जाएंगी और इधर एंड बैंक बैलेंस शीट इज ऑलवेज ऑन ए पर्टिकुलर सो लेट्स से टुडेस डेट इज लेकिन हम आज की बैलेंस शीट नहीं बना सकते हम कल की बना सकते टुडेस डे इज स्टिल ऑन डे इज स्टिल नॉट क्लोज्ड यू हैव टू make a balance sheet as at the close of the business. Don't feel offended. Like a son. Okay. So a balance sheet is always at the end of a particular day. So this balance sheet is as at 18. Clear? Now liabilities. Which will be the first liability? Wonderful. किसने बोला था कैपिटल हमने तो आपने भी बोला था कैपिटल तो सबसे पहले लायबिलिटी क्या आएगी कैपिटल लेट्स गिव समथिंग लाइक 1000 इट कुड बी crore this could be lakh whatever then what is the next reserves and surplus उससे रहेगा ना how many of you know since we were talking about the rationalization how many of you would know the reserves and surplus of SBI and which is a 200-year-old bank and the largest bank in the country and how many of you would know the reserves and surplus of HDFC Bank? I think you would know but if I tell you that the reserves and surplus of a 25-year-old bank, HDFC Bank, are bigger than SBI. Do you agree with me? Yes, the reserves and surplus of HDFC Bank are 40,000 crore rupees more than SBI. HDFC Bank is 3,30,000 crore and SBI 2,90,000 crore reserves and surplus. 200-year-old bank, my first job. For 10 years, 11 years, I worked there. 10 years, okay? And my last bank, where I worked for 20 years plus, are more than SBI. Okay, so the people who say that nationalization worked and yes, no. Today, HDFC Bank is employing roughly 3 lakh people. 3 lakh. And SBI, after 200 years, is only employing 11 lakh. Not even 4 times. 2 lakh people HDFC Bank is employing. And the largest employer in the country is not railways. It's TCS. The private sector and we always rush for हम लोग बहुत बड़ी डिग्री भी ले लेते हैं और फिर चपरासी बनना चाहते हैं रेलवेज में म्यूनिसिपैलिटी में समवेयर क्योंकि वो सरकारी जॉब है बट वी विल नॉट लाइक टू ज्वाइन HDFC TCS और समथिंग क्योंकि वो मेहनत करेंगे But at the end of the day, how many of you think that, okay, Sarkari Babus can stay in Nepean Sea and Pali Hill and things like that? But almost every senior person of HDFC Bank or ICICI Bank or something would be living very lavishly at the time of it. If you work honestly, there is nothing like a private sector. If you want to do time pass, there is nothing like a best time pass. शाम को 5 बजे आओ Netflix. Okay. Anyway, because I have seen both the worlds. Okay, and I have seen a multinational world also. If I am given another birth and I am born as Divesh Mishra in my next life, I will not even join SBI. Straight away I will refuse. I will do my MBA and will join the private bank or multinational. Absolutely. Okay, because I know the value of money. Money matters. Anybody who says that money does not matter, perhaps has lot of money. Only those people say money doesn't matter. Right? Okay. थोड़ा सा deviation हो गया. Capital, reserve, and surplus. Let's say 4,000. Then what are other liabilities? Other liabilities? Sorry? No? What are other borrowings? Banks also borrow, na? Bank borrowing. Let's say 500. And then comes deposit. Right? Bank take 50. That will be 10. Biggest. Okay? Or let's say 40. 40. This is bank's balance sheet. Can you total it? How much it comes to? Total it, guys? 45,500. This is 45,000. This is known as balance sheet size. The total of either side of the balance sheet is known as balance sheet. कोई आपसे क्या बैलेंस शीट साइज क्या है? तो दिस इज द बैलेंस शीट. इसको बोलते हैं साइज. ये भी एक नई टर्म है आप लोगों के लिए. ये टर्म यूज करोगे ना, लोग सोचेंगे यार इंटर सीए तो हो ही. यू गेट एन एडवांटेज. टेनिस देखते हो ना, तो एडवांटेज आता है ना जब यूज हो जाता है, तो एडवांटेज आपके फेवर में आ जाएगा. ना इधर भी तो करना है ना. चलिए साहब इधर भी करते हैं. ओके. एसेट्स क्या है बैंक के? सबसे पहले फिक्स्ड एसेट्स. ठीक है ना? फिक्स्ड एसेट्स. बैंक के पास क्या क्या होता है? कंप्यूटर्स होते हैं, सॉफ्टवेयर होते हैं. ओके. बैंक के पास बिल्डिंग भी होती है, क्योंकि उनका प्रोसेसिंग वगैरह जहाँ पे करते हो किराए पे नहीं लगता. ओके. अगर एचडीएफसी बैंक में आप देखेंगे तो चांदीवली, कांजूर मार्ग, इनकी जो बड़ी बिल्डिंग्स हैं, या हेड ऑफिस एट लोअर परेल, या सैंडोज हाउस में जो है, तो ये सब इनकी ओन बिल्डिंग्स हैं. प्लस ऑल 2 लाख लोग हैं, तो एटलीस्ट 2,50,000 कंप्यूटर्स होंगे, सर्वर्स होंगे, डेटा केबल. बहुत बड़ा इन्वेस्टमेंट है. तो फिक्स्ड एसेट्स लेट्स से हाउ मच? अगेन क्या लेते हैं? 4,000. देन what other assets? Investment. ठीक है? Yes. Banks also invest in various other businesses, associate companies. Let's say it is 1,000. ठीक है? 5,000. Or it's even this is 4,000 and this is 14. Okay. And then there is loan. It has to be a balancing figure. How much the figure should come here? 45,500 minus these two. How much it comes to? How much? What should I write? 27,500. Okay, great. So this should come to. So this is all. Now this is tally. This is how a bank's balance sheet actually is. We have just created a bank balance. There will be some other things, okay, like एसेट्स में आ जाएगा लोन्स टू एम्प्लॉइज, कहते हैं ना, हाउसिंग लोन है, सब कुछ ऐसा आ जाता है। पर्सनल लोन ले लेते हैं, एम्प्लॉइज ले लेते हैं, ओके। देन दिस आल्सो गिव्स सम डिपॉजिट्स। नाउ HDFC बैंक has 6,400 branches, okay, so every branch gives deposit for electricity wherever it is situated, and water. Suppose somebody is trying to, load some software somewhere and develop some patch, advances to vendors and things like that will also be there. So it will go up to this. But mota moti, this is the balance sheet of this bank. So we have created some awareness about how a bank looks like. आगे चलते हैं. Can we move forward? Yes. So far so good? Yes. इतनी नॉलेज हो गई? Yes. Banks are governed by Adhikap is very important. After now we are starting season 1 episode 3. क्या वैसे बोल रहा हूँ. Season 1 episode 3 है. Okay. So recap. Banks are governed by Banking Regulations Act and RBI Act 1934 because it came into existence on 1st April 1935. All banks. Now, secondly, banks are intermediate and banks survive on arbitrage. Imagine a bank which is borrowing or which is taking deposit at 7% and lending at 6%. Will it make profit? It's a negative arbitrage. It will go belly up. It will not survive. It will become bankrupt. Okay, so you have to take deposits at 5% and lend at 7%. Then only you can make money. Otherwise, no. They will also come to the services, but other ways banks can make money or they can make money. But this is the best way. Arbitrage is the best way of making money off by a bank. Okay, तो हमने ये सीखा. Then हमने सीखा कि banks have liability shown first in the balance sheet. Balance sheet is at a particular date, and then comes assets. When break करना था ना, तो यहाँ पे break कर देना. Can we have a lunch break? Yes. And how many minutes now? 30 minutes is okay, guys? 30 minutes? Are you able to 30 minutes? Because all of you will be reaching heaven at 1:45. Please have a quick look.
हाँ we can't stop that. एंडी करना पड़ेगा, स्टॉप का ऑप्शन नहीं है. क्या करना है? मेरा लाइक